Hi everyone, welcome back to our Mist AI-driven SD-WAN configuration guides series of videos. My name is Shai Donovich and I'm a solution architect here at Juniper on the Mist AI-driven enterprise team. And this is going to be section 2 of part 2, our configuration guides. In this section, we look into device onboarding. How do we onboard spoke and hub devices, associate them to sites, and apply configuration templates onto these devices. And with that, let's get going. So in the previous section, we have created two sites, Hub A and Site 1. And we also created a hub profile and a spokes configuration template. And in this section, as I mentioned, we'll look into how we onboard devices. So under Mist, there are two options to onboard device. You could either have a short configuration snippet that is committed onto a device, or a full ZTP, zero touch provisioning, which is using a call home server. In this case, since I'm using VSRXs in my lab, a VSRX, virtual SRX device, doesn't come with claim code out of the box. And so, if you are utilizing VSRXs for your lab setups, the best way is to have a simple base config and have a short few lines of configuration snippet to be committed on these devices, as I'll show you in the next few slides. So the first thing that I did with my VSRXs is basically make sure that each VSRX, be it a hub or a spoke, will be able to have connectivity to the internet in order to reach Mist Cloud and Mist managed servers. And for that, really all you need is have at least one interface. In this case, I'm using G000 as my WAN 0, and it has a DHCP. You also would need a configuration zone that this interface is attached to. In my case, I'll show you I have 1.0 as my single zone. And since the device will be reached to Mist Cloud using FQDNs, then you would need the DNS name server configured. And also it's very beneficial or advisable to have an NTP, which makes sure that you have your time and date synchronized as well. So I'm using in my lab, just time.google.com as my NTP server, but if you have a local NTP servers, you can use them as well. And obviously root password, just to make sure that we can commit configuration on this device. So looking at the config, really this is how it looks from Juno's perspective. The first line is just making sure I know which device I'm dealing with. So I'm setting the host name and then the root password, as I mentioned, name server, I'm using 888, and then NTP, and then this single zone with one interface attached and a DHCP. Similarly, for the hub device, really there's no much difference. The only difference is our hub devices using static IPs. And so on G00, I have a static IP configured, which again pointing to 10.100.02 as my WAN 0 interface. And then also have a static route, which is pointing my default route to the next hop, which is my ISP1 router. Again, once this device is onboarded and assigned to the hub profile that we have configured previously, then WAN 1 will be, or the entire configuration will be pushed to the device, including the second interface. So again, the point here is we need the bare minimum configuration on the device in order for the device to reach Mist Cloud. One note here for the SRX platforms, not non-virtual platforms, the default config that you have on the device already comes with the right configuration for you to make sure you'll be able to onboard this via the ZTP zero touch provisioning process. And please watch my second video that will show you how to ZTP SRX platforms, branch SRX platform devices, including claim code, and then the default config that the device has out of the box. Okay, so let's quickly look at our devices that I have in this lab. Here's Hub A. I have few VSRXs deployed on the server, and as I mentioned, if you look on this device, the configuration, the bare minimum configuration that we have is actually pointing out I'm using version 21.2 hostname, and we can put password, and you can check connectivity to make sure you have connectivity to the internet. And also we can check to make sure we have the right DNS resolution as well. And we can ping, we can resolve any FQDN. And this is our hub. So if we look at our interfaces, as I mentioned, we have G000, which is 110.02, and your routes is actually your default is pointing to 10.100.0.1. And just a quick note on licensing. If you're using VSRXs, you need to make sure that you have the appropriate license, at least IDP, at least UpID SIG as a minimum in order to use the steering profiles in the next segment. Okay, so once we have our base config on the VSRX devices, we're ready to onboard the devices onto the Mist cloud. And really the process is pretty simple. If we would go under inventories that I'll show you in a second, there's there's an option to click on adopt device, and there's going to be a short config snippet be generated specifically for your organization. This config should be copied and transferred and committed on the VSRX device. So let's see, let's switch to Mist UI and we'll copy this config. So under organizations, we can click on inventory, and under WAN edge devices, we have no device currently onboarded, and we're looking at the entire org. So here in the top right hand corner, there's a button called adopt WAN edge devices, and as you can see, there is a short config that is being generated. We can copy it to our clipboard and switch to the VSRX CLI and commit this config on the device. So back to our hub device, I can go into configuration mode and just copy paste the config, and we can commit the config and quit. Also, you can check on system connections. Basically, this config is creating an outbound SSH to the Mist cloud. You can look at on port 2200, and you can see there's a connection established into a Mist cloud. Okay, so the next step in onboarding our device, as you can see, we would go to our Mist inventory page and refresh the page, and we would see the hub device appears under inventory, and it would be showing as an unassigned until we will assign it to a specific site. In this case, the hub would be assigned to hub-a site name that we have created previously. So let's switch to the Mist UI. Switching back to Mist, we can now refresh the page of the inventory, and we can see our device is now showing up as unassigned. And next we would need to go ahead and assign it to a site, and specifically assign then the hub profile, since this is our hub device. So we can go ahead and select this device, and here under more there's an option to assign this device to a site. Click on assign this device to a site, and we can select our site, which is again going to be hub-A. And here you have a few options. You can either select manage configuration with Mist, which means Mist will take whatever the configuration you have on your hub profile or OneEdge template and will override the config on the device. Or you can have it unselected if you just want to monitor the devices with Mist AI. And also there are three options here as far as which settings applying to licenses you would want to use. As you recall, under sites we have configured that we have licenses on the device, so I would go by the site configuration, or either you can select this specific device has license. We'll keep it as use site settings for AppTrack licenses, and we would go ahead and click on assign to site. And the message appears saying the device has been assigned to a site. Okay, so once the device has been assigned to a site, we would need to go into the site, click on the site name, and we would need to associate a hub profile with this device that has been assigned to this site. Okay, so if we select the device from our inventory list, the one that we just onboarded, it would take us directly to the site itself, or shows the device page. You can also navigate to the site and devices. Sites are under OneEdges. So, if you click on OneEdges, you can see a list of sites. You can either select your site from here. We have nothing on site one yet, in site one yet, because these are this is going to be our spoke device. But hub A, we have this device which is onboarded, and if we click on the device, we can see this is our VSRX. There are a few interfaces that are connected on my server to different bridges. However, we have not yet enabled configuration by Mist. This is why this is grayed out, and we need also to associate the hub profile with this site. So to do that, we would need to select our hub profile. This is a list of all hub profiles you have configured. Obviously we have only one, so we will select hub_A as our device profile, and we would go ahead and enable configuration by Mist. And we also have a name here, and we can go ahead and click on save. Once we clicked on save and we go back to our device, we would see that there's immediately config being pushed to the device, and Mist does config commit confirm. So if something happens, it will be able to roll back the config. So as you can see, the config is being committed on the device, and we can look at our interfaces. We can see that we already have the second interface we have configured, which is 10.100.1.2. And also, if we look at the route table, we can see that we have two default through 10 and 11, and also a few routing instances that we will explore in the next segment, including the overlay routing instance, where we have the IPsec tunnels configured from. If we take a look at our IPsec tunnel, we can see that we have no IPsec tunnels yet, because we have not yet onboarded our spoke device. So let's go ahead and onboard the spoke device as well. Okay, similarly to our hub device, let's take a look at our spoke device. Here is the spoke device we have here. If we look at our configuration, we have a very similar configuration. The interface here, as I mentioned, is in DHCP. If we look at our routing table, we have our routing table according to our lab address scheme, which is 10.1 for site 1, 02, and the default is pointing to 10.1.0.1, which is our ISP1 router. Also checking connectivity to make sure I have connectivity, and we can then go ahead and do a similar process to the hub profile and get the config from the inventory page on Mist. Okay, so if we look at our inventory page, we see our hub device showing up under the inventory list. And we'll go ahead and onboard our spoke device as well. So clicking on adopt one edge devices, and same process, I'm copying the config snippet to my clipboard. Back to my spoke device, going into configuration mode, copying the config and committing the config on the device. Once the config is committed, we can refresh the page and we should see the spoke device showing up as unassigned. And similarly to the hub device, we would need to assign the spoke first to a site. So I will select the spoke device under more, assign to site, and I will select site 1 as the site for this spoke device. So clicking on assign to site, a message saying the device has been assigned. And you can either click on the device from the inventory list again, or go to one edge devices, select your site, which is site 1, and you would click on the device, and here's the spoke device. Since it is just being assigned, the device, it takes a few minutes to show up under the site. If we can go to the spoke device, we can see that the connection to Mist has been already established. So we should also go ahead and enable config management by Mist, similarly to what we have done for the hub device. We can click on save, and here's the spoke device shows up. Again, I have multiple interfaces that are connected, but at this point we have not yet assigned the template to the spoke. So to assign the one edge template to the spoke, you can either click on this link which says none configuration, right, and it will take you to the one edge template configuration. And in this one edge template configuration, you can see that there are 0 sites or 0 devices that are attached to this configuration template. You can click on assign sites, and you'll have you have to select which site you would like to assign this configuration one edge template to. So in this case, I will select site 1, as this is my spoke site, and the configuration that we are, the template that we are referring to here is the one edge template, which are assigned to spokes. So clicking on apply, and you can see that there's one site, and inside this one site called site 1, we have one edge device. So if you go back to one edges, and we can see that in this site 1, we have a one edge device that we have named site 1 as well. If you switch to hub A, you can see that we have hub A, another one edge device, and hub A. So back to site 1, here's our spoke, and everything looks good here. So if we look at our device, we can see that immediately as we have assigned the spoke template, there is config being pushed to the device, to our spoke device. If we look at our interfaces, we can see that we already see the second interface, which is 10.1.1.2. Also, in this point, the spoke should be forming 2 IPsec tunnels to our hub. So if we list our IKE tunnels and IPsec tunnels, we can see we have 2 tunnels already up. One is going to 10.100.0.2 when 0 of our hub, and 10.100.1.2, which is when 1 of our hub. Similarly, we can look at IPsec tunnels. and we can see that we have two IPsec tunnels, one to each direction on port 4500 established to the hub as well. If we go back to our spoke site, we can click on One Edge Insights, and you can also see the overlay tunnels shows up here, and the peer IP is 10.100.0.2, which is our hub. We also see that we have BGP IBGP session established to the hub. This is how in our solution we exchange routes between hub and spokes. So this is shows up here, and there are other parameters that we can see here, which we'll dive into in a different video. Okay, so at this point we have established onboarded these two devices, spoke and hub, and also, as we have seen, we have our overlay tunnels established already. So next, we were going to go ahead and connect two LAN segments emulated by two hosts, one on the spoke, the other one on the hub, as our LAN 0. And we'll configure steering profiles and also security policies. So we'll have networks and applications, and so we can exchange traffic between this spoke to hub LAN side. So with that, I'll see you in the next segment, and thanks for watching.